Welcome to Aviafly, the YouTube history channel with aircraft, airlines, and aviation podcasts. Italian and French language terms appear in this podcast. We can't pronounce these terms correctly. It remains with an English pronunciation, which the listener may forgive us. Today's topic: AMX International AMX. The AMX International AMX is a ground attack aircraft jointly developed by Brazil and Italy. The AMX is designated A-11 Ghibli by the Italian Air Force and A-1 by the Brazilian Air Force. The Italian name, Ghibli, is taken from the hot, dry wind of the Libyan desert. During the early 1970s, Italian manufacturer Aero conducted a design study on a prospective light ground attack aircraft, which was given the designation of MB340. In early 1977, the Italian Air Force issued a requirement for 187 new-build strike fighters to replace its existing Air Italia G.91 in the close air support. In 1980, the Brazilian government announced that they intended to participate in the program to provide a replacement for the Aero MB326. As a result of a memorandum between Italy and Brazil for the type's joint development in 1981, AMX International, an Italian-Brazilian joint venture, was formed to develop, manufacture, and market the aircraft. The Italian Air Force, in early 1977, needed 187 new fighter jets to replace the existing Air Italia G.91 planes, being used for close air support and reconnaissance missions. Additionally, the Lockheed RF-104G Starfighter was being used at that time for reconnaissance. Rather than competing for the contract, Air Italia and Aero agreed to produce a joint proposal for the requirement, as both firms had been considering the development of a similar class of aircraft for some years. During the early 1970s, Aero conducted work on a design study for such a light ground attack aircraft under the designation of MB340. In April 1978, development work on the joint venture formally commenced. In July 1981, the Italian and Brazilian governments agreed on joint requirements for the aircraft. Embraer was invited to join the industrial partnership. An agreement was also struck to divide AMX manufacturing between the partners. Air Italia manufactured 46.5% of the components for each production aircraft, like central fuselage, stabilizers, and rudders. Aero produced 22.8%, which extended to the front fuselage and tail cone. Embraer was responsible for 29.7% of the production, which included the wings, air intakes, pylons, and drop tanks. There was no duplication of work. Each component of the aircraft was built at one source only. The planned requirements were 187 aircraft for Italy and 100 for Brazil. In the early stages of development, various different power plants and engine configurations were studied to power the type. Both twin-engine and single-engine approaches were considered. The use of U.S.-sourced engines had been promptly discounted to avoid potential restrictions on export sales of the overall aircraft. The engines examined were the Turbo Union RB199, the Rolls-Royce Turbomica Adur, Rolls-Royce Viper, and the Rolls-Royce Spey engine. In 1978, the Spey 807 model, which featured several additional improvements, was selected to power the new aircraft. During the design process of the new aircraft, an emphasis was placed on accessibility and survivability. The AMX needed to withstand a single failure of any onboard system without any performance deterioration. To reach this goal, critical systems were duplicated and vital systems were protected. The idea of using cockpit armor was debated but ultimately dismissed because of the expense. The detailed definition phase of the project was finished in March 1980. A total of 7 flight-capable prototypes were produced for the test program, 3 by Air Italia, 2 by Aero, and 2 by Embraer, as well as 2 static airframes. The first prototype, assembled in Italy, made its maiden flight on May 15, 1984. This first aircraft was lost on its 5th flight in an accident, resulting in the death of its pilot. Aside from this early loss, testing progressed smoothly and without further incident. The first Brazilian assembled prototype made its first flight on October 16, 1985. On May 11, 1988, the first production aircraft performed its first flight. Deliveries of production aircraft to Italy began in 1988. The first examples were delivered to the Brazilian Air Force the following year. On March 14, 1990, the prototype two-seat AMX made its first flight. The design. The AMX is a conventional shoulder-winged monoplane. It is composed primarily of aluminum and manufactured using traditional construction methods. However, elements such as the tail fin and elevators use carbon fiber composite materials. For its size, a large proportion of the AMX's internal space is allocated to avionics and onboard computer systems. Both the navigation and attack systems are computerized. For accessibility and ease of maintenance, all avionics are installed directly in bays beneath the cockpit so they can be worked upon at ground level without the use of support platforms. Drawing on experience from the Panavia tornado, the AMX is equipped with a hybrid flight control system. A fly-by-wire control system is employed to operate flight control surfaces such as the spoilers, rudder, and variable incidence tailplane. At the same time, the ailerons and elevators are actuated via a dual redundant hydraulic system. Manual reversion is provided for the ailerons, elevator, and rudder to allow the aircraft to be flown even in the event of complete hydraulic failure. Either control system can act independently. The wing is fitted with both leading-edge slats and trailing-edge flaps and over-wing spoilers ahead of the flaps. Spoilers can function as air brakes and negate lift, improving takeoff, landing performance, and maneuverability during flight. A single Rolls-Royce Spey turbofan engine serves as the AMX's power plant. During the aircraft's development, the Spey was heavier and less modern than some available alternatives. Still, it was considered to be reliable and relatively cheap. It was free of export restrictions that would be imposed by using American engines. The Spey engine also enabled the use of a simplified round-lipped inlet design. The rear fuselage is detachable to gain access to the engine. Different consortia in both Brazil and Italy manufactured the Spey for the AMX. Unusual for a strike aircraft of the era, no attempt was made to develop the plane to fly at supersonic speeds. Brazilian and Italian aircraft differ considerably in their avionics. They are equipped with various NATO systems, considered redundant in the South American theater. AMX aircraft in Brazilian service are often fitted with one of three pallet-mounted sensor packages containing different vertical, oblique, and forward-facing cameras for performing the aircraft's secondary aerial reconnaissance role. A simple ranging radar is equipped for targeting purposes. However, the specific radar also differs between both operators. The flight system employs a GE Avionics flight control computer. An extensive electronic countermeasure (ECM) is fitted to protect the aircraft, including a passive receiver antenna on the tailfin and an active jammer pod typically mounted on one of the aircraft's hardpoints. Various munitions could be mounted on the one centerline and four underwing hardpoints, including bombs, missiles, and rockets. Payloads of up to 2,000 pounds may be carried upon the centerline and the two innermost underwing pylons. In comparison, the outer pylons can carry up to 1,000 pounds. All four underwing hardpoints are plumbed for drop tanks to extend the aircraft's range. Italian aircraft are also fitted with a fixed aerial refueling probe. Optical reconnaissance pods can be carried externally on the centerline hardpoint. Wingtip rails are provided for infrared-guided air-to-air missiles such as the AIM-9 Sidewinder and MAA-1 Piranha. Italian aircraft are fitted with an M61 Vulcan 20mm rotary cannon on the port side of the lower fuselage. The United States denied the sale of the M61 to Brazil. Thus, its AMX planes are fitted with two 30mm DFA 554 revolver cannons. The operational history. The first operational squadron of the Italian Air Force, the 103rd Gruppo of 51 Stormo, was formed in November 1989. Both the Italian and Brazilian AMX fleets were grounded in February 1992 following the crash of an Italian AMX due to engine failure. Operations were allowed to restart in May that year, following the modification of the engines. Italy assigned 6 AMX aircraft from 103rd Gruppo to operations over Bosnia in 1995 as part of Operation Deny Flight, followed by a similar deployment in support of the I-4 peacekeepers in Bosnia. This deployment was interrupted by another grounding due to engine failure between January and March 1996. Italian AMX aircraft were used in 1999 in the Kosovo War. Instead of using unguided or traditional laser-guided bombs, the Italian Air Force used dozens of Mk-82 bombs fitted with OFR Israeli guidance kits, effectively converting the dumb bombs into an infrared-guided bombs. In the late 1990s, AMX International considered a significant engine refit. A non-afterburning variant of the Eurojet EJ200 was proposed, with considerably more thrust than the existing power plant. In 2005, the Italian Air Force launched the upgrade program ACOL, an operational and logistical capability upgrade, for 55 of its AMX aircraft, adding a new laser INS, new cockpit displays, and allowing the aircraft to drop Joint Direct Attack Munition-guided bombs. In August 2007, Embraer began a significant midlife upgrade program and modernization of 53 Brazilian Air Force AMX A1s, focusing on avionics systems and new armament additions. The program is estimated to have extended the fleet's lifespan beyond 2027. In November 2009, 4 Italian AMX aircraft were deployed overseas for operations in Afghanistan, replacing the same number of Italian Tornado IDS in the reconnaissance role. Of particular note is the aircraft's ability to share digital electro-optical and infrared sensor information with ground troops in real time, providing valuable reconnaissance information and helping to minimize threat exposure. By the end of 2010, over 700 combat missions had been flown in the Afghan theater. On May 28, 2014, the AMX performed its last combat sortie in the Afghan theater. On June 20, 2014, all remaining AMX planes were withdrawn from Afghanistan. In the year 2011, Italian AMX aircraft were utilized during the 2011 military intervention that took place in Libya. 710 guided bombs and missiles were deployed by Italian military aircraft during sorties. 550 bombs and missiles were deployed by Air Force Tornadoes and AMX fighter bombers, while 160 guided bombs were deployed by Navy AV-8Bs. The conflict saw the first use by AMX aircraft of Lightning targeting pods paired with Paveway and JDAM guided bombs. In early 2016, in response to the deteriorating situation in Libya, Italy decided to station additional aircraft, including 4 AMX fighters, at Bassi Air Base in Trapani, Sicily. In March 2012, the Philippines reportedly negotiated with Italy for the possible procurement of used AMX aircraft. However, on March 28, 2014, the Philippines Department of National Defense signed a contract for 12 FA-50 light attack aircraft. Different variants. AMX-T. In 1986, the development of a two-seat advanced trainer variant was undertaken. This intended to provide trainee pilots with experience on fast jets while retaining the single-seater's attack capabilities. First flying in 1990, the AMX-T equipped the Italian and Brazilian Air Forces. AMX-ATA. The AMX Advanced Trainer Attack, AMX-ATA, is a AMX two-seater multi-mission attack fighter developed for combat roles and advanced training. The AMX-ATA incorporates new sensors, a forward-looking infrared helmet-mounted display, a new multi-mode radar for air-to-air and air-to-surface capability, and new weapon systems, including anti-ship missiles and medium-range missiles. The Venezuelan Air Force ordered 8 AMX ATA in 1999 for the advanced trainer and attack aircraft role. Still, the U.S. Congress vetoed the sale because the aircraft systems include U.S. technology. AMX RA-1. This is an AMX variant designed for reconnaissance missions. Various reconnaissance pallets can be fitted. It is used by the Brazilian Air Force. A1M. This is a product of a Brazilian upgrade program of their A1s. Significant features include a Mectron SCP-01 Scipio radar, Embraer data link, navigation equipment, and the adoption of a glass cockpit. A-11A. Italian military designation for the AMX from 2012. TA-11A. Italian military designation for the AMXT from 2012. A-11B. Italian military designation for the AMX ACOL from 2012. TA-11B. Italian military designation for the AMXT ACOL from 2012. Technical data. Type: single-seat tactical fighter. Engine: Rolls-Royce SPE Mk807 fan turbine. Manufactured under license in Italy by Alfa Romeo and Fiat Aviazione with approximate 5,000 kg thrust. Power: top speed Mach 0.95. Operational action radius with weapon load of 1,360 kg 335 km. Weight: takeoff weight for normal operations 10,500 kg. Maximum takeoff weight 12,000 kg. Dimensions: wingspan 8.88 meters. Length 13.57 meters. Height 4.59 meters. Wing area 21.00 square meters. This was the Aviafly podcast. We would be pleased about your like and your subscription because this is the only way we can continue to offer you exciting podcasts from the world of aviation.